Oh boy, you are in for a treat. Big time. Today we are going to discuss a topic that is probably one of the most basic chess motifs when it comes to tactics, backrank and backrank mates. But I decided to bring it to you through one of the most, if not the most famous positions that ever dealt with the back rank mate issue. And I decided to spice up the video because I tend to do that these days with No Die Classics, with two other examples that are particularly close to my heart, but perhaps somewhat lesser known than the other two cases. So let's dive right into it, and starting off with the absolute world famous Adams Torre game. The irony of the Adams Torre game is that if I say the name Adams, most of us would immediately associate it with the absolute top dog British GM Mickey Adams. And if you hear the name Torre, usually we think about Eugenio Torre, one of the greatest grandmasters the Asian continent ever produced before the big chess boom of the 80s, 90s, and beyond in India and China. So the Filipino GM was one of the strongest Asian GMs in the 70s and even in the 80s. But this is not that Torre. So here we are dealing with the famous Mexican grandmaster of the very early 1900s, Carlos Torre, playing in the black side of this game, and his opponent, whose surname avoids me now, used to be his friend slash sponsor slash colleague, whatever, and this was meant to be a friendly game. And I'm flying through the whole opening slash early middle game because I really want to get to the point of the game. So it was a somewhat weird Philidor. I really don't like castle. Those of you who are my students know that I don't really like not castling queenside when we already have a semi-open d-file, thus saving a tempo, bringing the rooks to the middle. So castles is not something I would be keen on playing here, but that's more of a personal taste than objective assessment, although I do think actually that bishop g5 castles queenside is better here. So castles b19, bish d, ed, bish g5, c6, c4, cd, cd, rook e8, rook e1. And I sincerely doubt that by now people who have seen this position wouldn't have recognized where this is going. And in fact, I'm hoping that the vast majority of people who are watching this video right now go like, yeah, I've seen this. So I'm pretty sure that you have, and if you haven't, then I'm very glad that this is my channel when you come across this absolute masterpiece for the first time. So the position and the whole puzzle basically starts here, and I'll have a fair bit of history and a story to tell with the game, but first I would like to go through the chess part because that's by far the most fun and the best bit. So white takes an f6, black takes back with the bishop, and that's when we recognize that there is a backrank pattern or backrank theme, if you will, going on, because these two guys are desperately needed to defend the back rank. Mind you, somewhat ironically, white has to watch out for the back rank counter motifs as well. So queen g4 is the first strike in this position, trying to decoy the queen so that the mate could work. And one big difference between the two setups is that the bishop is utterly useless in defending the back rank, whereas the white knight actually saves the day from nasties like rook e2, when we actually can take d7 because rook e1 would be covered by the knight. So the queen had to go, and there came the second strike, equally beautiful, in fact more beautiful, queen c4, putting the queen on prey by the queen and the rook. Neither can capture because of the mate, and we still have the same defensive mechanism on white side, so black can't even dream about doing anything funny. Queen d7 had to go back. So now if you really wanted to get cute, we could repeat moves here with queen g4, but nay, we are going in for the kill with queen c7. And here an interesting tidbit for the friends of computer chess. I'm running Stockfish as this is on, and on a 25 out of 25 depth, the computer doesn't find queen c7. That's absolutely mind-blowing. And the reason why it doesn't is because it doesn't see the follow-up. And the said follow-up is a4. I had to actually poke and prod and put it on a larger depth to find a4, which it instantly has, but on 23 out of 23 or 24 out of 24, I don't know which one because now I went beyond. Stockfish doesn't pick up on this, which is quite amazing because on computers level, this is a kindergarten tactic. So now the queen has to accept the sacrifice. There is no choice. Queen has to take. And here we go, rook e4. Now that is a tricky move to see because it's such an unexpected move to move the rook up here when the rook is actually needed on the e-file to attack the queen. So this is getting real messy now, but let's try to stay focused and keep it clean. What's the threat? Well, we have a threat of taking this, but more importantly, or equally importantly, we have a threat of taking this. And when they take back, we take the free queen. Because I think rook a4 is met by rook e1, knight e1, rook c7. So yeah, the number one threat is actually taking the rook here first, and then we pick off the free queen. Note that nothing can take on e4. Rook e4 loses to queen c8, queen e4 loses to rook takes back, and this still can't take because then e8 hangs. So it goes back to b5, and now we take b7. So the super subtle point of this whole puzzle is actually that queen takes b7 right away here would fall for tragically for queen takes e2, and in the end it's white who actually gets back rank mated. What a cool counterpunch. And that is the reason why in this position we needed this a4 thrust. Really, really deep stuff. And the point again is that if the queen takes after rook takes, there is no mate down here. And I can't take this dude because that hangs. And likewise, if I take with the rook, once again the same story. The knight covers the rook for the upteenth time, and there is no mate. Hence the need to take, and this is where the rook lift basically achieves, most importantly, the removal of the rook from e2. So after queen b5, queen b7, the queen can't sack itself for the rook, and thus now black is losing a ton of material. GG. Now, that, however, is not the whole story, because there have been unlimited number of articles written on this game and the topic and the documentation that was found afterwards. The famous chess historian Edwin Winter has written multiple articles. My nose is itchy, I'm sorry. For some or on ChessBase about this topic, and it turns out that the game actually never took place the way I presented it to you now. And I also found a reference that quoted that actually what was more than likely to happen was that in the game, Torre noticed this whole tactical trap, and so he decided to take back with the pawn, and then his opponent played rook e7, hoping that rook e7, queen e7, queen g4 check would win the game for him. But to his dismay, after rook takes e7, black took back with the queen, and it was black who laughed last, because now it's him who is delivering the back rank mate to white. And according to some sources, this is how the game went, and almost according to all sources, this was a work of fiction, or rather a piece of analysis by Torre, who played the game as black. Nonetheless, in my opinion, it's an absolute beauty and really an amazing piece of work, even if it's fictional, because for all intents and purposes for us now, it is learning material, so it doesn't really make a difference whether it actually did happen or not. For historical accuracy's sake, we tend to believe it didn't, but whatever. I'm really cool either way. Now, the next game is a personal favorite of mine, which I found in the new edition of one of John Nunn's puzzle books. Yeah, well, which one was it? Don't remember. I think it's called John Nunn's Puzzles, or John Nunn's Puzzle Book, whatever. Yusupov Enders. Yusupov, one of the best players of the world in the late 80s, early 90s. A vicious attacker. Really cool dude. Very highly recommend you to study his games, because boy, the dude could play chess. He nearly died, by the way, as a result of a home robbery going sour. I think he got shot by a shotgun in the stomach, and his life was in danger. Luckily, he survived, and yeah, he's with us. A remarkable chess player. And Anders Peter is a German GM who is very well known for his vicious, uncompromising style. Didn't quite make it as far in the world of chess as Yusupov did, but boy, he scored some really, really awesome victories. Anyway, same story. I will fly through the opening because it's not really that important. We land in a hanging pawn structure, although Yusupov refrained from playing c4, preferring to support d4 and starting his kingside attack. I would like to highlight to you one thing. A lot of the times, lower level players in these types of positions are desperate to play a bishop move. And I don't understand why things go wrong when they do that. But what you need to recognize here, that very often, if you can achieve something like queen here and bring the rook over to this side, the bishop on c1 actually almost counts as a developed piece by virtue of looking down towards the king already as is. Because even if you do put it on f4, you don't want to use it down that way, which may sound stupid, but bishop f4, for example, he would hardcore step into knight d5 with a tempo, so it just doesn't have a good square. And usually when it doesn't have a good square, my best piece of advice to you is don't move it then. And that's exactly what Yusupov is doing here. He's setting up this very common mate attack on h7, and now the next step in this whole shebang would be to try to undermine the knight, which is far harder said than done. But instead here, he does this very typical rook lift. And if you look at the position here from white's point of view, it is full complete development. You can't ask for better development than this. And yet, he hasn't moved the bishop at all. It took a few extra moves and it looked a little bit artificial. But in the end of the day, this is full development. And I think this is where he's beginning to lose the plot a little bit. But again, I can't fault Yusupov's play in its intention, because even here, it is just awesomely, viciously aggressive. Yusupov is everything that I like and enjoy about chess, and that is that he just goes for it every time or whenever he can. So here he even is willing to chuck a horse on the edge just so that he can add an extra attacker to this attack, which he does so by going to h3. I'm not quite sure why the dude didn't go to g3 here. Somehow this feels far more natural. Maybe he didn't like... Oh yeah, I get it. Okay, so after rook g3, he would fall for knight h5, rook random, knight f4. That's a pain. That's why knight f8 was a really clever move here, because it's basically relieving this knight, so that now this knight is not needed as a defender. And in fact here, Yusupov played rook h3, thus falling for an absolutely stunning counterpunch that, ironically, is exploiting the vulnerability of the bishop, and on top of that, the weak back rank. Boy oh boy, prepare yourself. Bishop e4, forcing the only defender of the back rank off the back rank. Knight takes e4. Get ready, babies. Queen e4 and ta-da! Bringing on the sexy queen takes d4. Queen Saccarino, after throwing away bishop and knight for a rook. Queen takes d4. Puts the icing on the cake. An absolute stunner. And it can't be captured because after rook takes, pawn takes, we have got mate. But better still, watch this, because this is not yet the full puzzle. Because what Anders needed to see was that after bishop c2, he had the rook takes h4. Boy, that is awesome. And again, after rook takes, the rook got decoyed from the defense of c3. The whole position is collapsing. One might say it's a bit of a fast cry, or a bit of a stretch, rather, for a back rank mate. But I insist that this is a back rank mate puzzle because of the the decoy of the defender of the back rank followed by the actual back rank mate motif. I mean, taking the bishop by itself wouldn't be enough to justify a queen Saccarino on d4. It had to be that the back rank mate was on. And then on top of that, now we're utilizing again this c5 pile up. And here I think it would have been somewhat more elegant to just throw in the table and walk away, but Yusupov decided to fight on for another 200 moves, but lost calls in the end. He actually lost the game as he should. And that takes us to my all-time one of my all-time favorite puzzle. And this puzzle is stemming from the very famous Olafsson Levitt, John Levitt game. When I first came across this puzzle, and again I'm going through the opening whilst I'm talking, I was a very, well, not very weak player, but I was just a junior starting out. I wouldn't even know what my rating then would be worth today, but the point is that I kept on staring at this position and I thought it didn't have a solution, it's just rubbish. And I think you will see why I couldn't crack it. So, Queen's Indian and all the line, and Olafsson here goes like, okay, I will shut this whole deep business, deep pawn down, at a cost of a pawn, the b2 pawn that is, in order to build up like so. And this is the beginning of the puzzle, and like I told you, for the life of me I couldn't solve it. I think by the time I saw it, I was a semi-decent player, so I was definitely, yeah, somewhere in the vicinity of 2000 rating. So I knew a thing or two about chess, and I was looking at this, and for the life of me, I just could not crack the thing. And then I came back to it later when I was an IM, and when I solved it after severe struggles, I was so proud of myself, because it's a really hard puzzle, but at the same time so beautiful. Check this out. Obviously White has achieved almost full potential of pieces. It's impossible to activate any more dudes than what we have, and a lot of people would here settle for the pathetic queen takes c5, which would allow black to finish development and yeah, not really be much better. To be fair, White is still better. However, compare that to this. Holy cadoodly. Even when I played, it's totally unclear what it does, because we need to see that after FE we have got knight g5, 75 million exclamation marks, with the main concept that if bishop takes g2 we have queen takes e6 with force mate. Whoa, boy! That is some next level stuff. So hats off to Helgi Olafsson, who I'm guessing is an Icelandic grandmaster, for finding this. Wow! As good old Carlson used to say, or probably still does on his streams, it takes a fair number of and a fair amount of cojones to play like this. Takes, then bang, take it all, baby. And after bishop takes, h6 was played for the record because obviously this is suicide. Takes and it's forced mate. So Levitt, he chose to hang in there by playing h6, in which case we only actually win the exchange back, but now the king has been severely compromised, and this bishop, boy, is a monster. And on top of that, we still have this grip on the d6 square. The game ended knight takes c5, queen went to c7, and knight takes d7. We're just munching up everything on the king side. If now rook d7, queen e6 check, rook f7, bishop takes, hangs that rook directly and hangs this rook indirectly, the game is over. So after knight d7 he brought the other rook in, but now White has got 27 pawns for the exchange and a raging attack, which he cashed in on by playing bishop e4. Knight e7 was played and he went into d6, shutting the queen down. Obviously queen takes would have been met by rook e8 when black is trying to get a little bit cute, regaining one of the attackers. But White just went like, yeah, now baby, I will just go in. Obviously this is enhancing pressure this way. Not that I can sack yet, but the knight is now legitimately in trouble. And yeah, there is a lot going on. So for example, if black just ignores it, I take rook e8. Now the big difference is this chook here. Oops. And if takes, it's mate. If here, it's mate. So after rook d6, he went takes, queen check. I guess it's just agony before resignation. Queen f7. Once again, a very cute move, allowing this to be captured. But after rook g6, the game is over. If anything, defends the mate on g7, knight f6 mops up. For example, queen b2, knight f6, and the mate on g7 can't be stopped without losing a queen, and then some. But this is not really the point of the puzzle. The beautiful, beautiful motif that was engineered by Olafsson was this fabulous rook sack followed by setting up the queen sack. Oh my word, what a move. And that comes, or rather closes our discussion of No-Lie Classics for today. So we have seen an amazing Adams Torre, no less well, somewhat less, but still very impressive Yusupov enders, and I reckon that this last one, Olafsson versus John Levitt, was just the icing on the cake. So I hope, guys, that you enjoyed it, and hopefully it's going to help you to keep your eyes peeled when the back rank is vulnerable. Thanks for watching. I will be back with more soon.